It's the safest structure for our market. And there is the option to do the isolated lending, which you're showcasing here. You can earn higher yield, but typically it comes with higher risk because you are exposed to just one asset in case there's liquidations. So I think honestly, like what's really cool is the Metavault actually receives first rights for any repayments. And essentially what the Metavault is this social liquidity fund, similar to like Aave. You deposit USDC and then you have all these pods, these Peapods, which are borrowing USDC to farm volatility with leverage. And you get a nice diversified exposure to all of them. And typically it's rebalancing towards the highest paying ones. And with all of that combined, this vault on base is earning 20.5% in USDC, paid in USDC.
That's awesome.
Whenever a liquidation happens or someone repays a loan, the first people who are paid back is the Metavault, because we want to make sure that liquidity can be reallocated to new pods that need that liquidity. So I think this is the best thing for users who want the most set and forget. Because you see like a 33% rate for lending to the own pod, but those are very volatile. Volatility farming is the basis of our protocol. So APYs and lending APYs are also very volatile because there's times where volatility is high and we need liquidity, and there's times when it's low and we don't need it, so the interest rates go down.
Awesome. By the way, I love that I see base Barrio down there.
Yeah, Barrio, awesome. They're one of the best performing. Yeah, they're awesome.
Their community really rallies. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're awesome guys. So it's like you could go lend isolated, but tomorrow the rate could be half of what it was. So if you want something that's more consistent and more safe, stick with the Metavaults for sure. And check out each chain. Each chain has its own Metavault, different rates.
That's perfect. See, I love the live walkthrough because that was my DeFi user journey rerouted with pop-up. So good work on that pop-up, by the way. So we're back to the Metavault. We don't have to worry if we don't have familiarity with some of these, because Metavault will A, reallocate to the highest pods for the most part, and then B, if there's some kind of liquidation that goes south, the Metavault providers are actually prioritized ahead of the isolated lending providers. Right. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Amazing. So step 2. I am sitting here and I see that there's a 4,700 total TVL here. But then I'm thinking, I'm a little scared of the withdrawable assets here. So there's only maybe less than half of that I can withdraw. Mm-hmm. How would we ease the worries of folks that are kind of watching this number fluctuate? And then how does utilization, as that goes up and down, how does that affect what's withdrawable and then what's not? And then I guess the end result would be like, why would this not be non-withdrawable for a very long period of time? Because I'm pretty sure I know the answer with the Frax, lending rates jacking up, but would love to hear the Dell-led dialogue.
No, I appreciate that. So, you mentioned like how does that utilization work? And basically, whenever utilization is increasing, that means the pods are experiencing price going to the downside. And that means that USDC is being used up in the LP to handle the arbitrages. So borrowers are now using more of the lender's liquidity. It can just sit there when it's not being used, but when it needs to be used, it will be used in the LP, and that's why the utilization goes up. What ends up happening is when utilization increases, so does the interest rate to borrow. So we slowly start creeping up, incentivizing borrowers to pay back. And lenders are also earning more, even though utilization is really high and they're not able to withdraw. So there's a couple ways you get out of this sort of max utilization where you're stuck. And that can either happen where certain assets go all the way to the downside and reach liquidation. And when that happens, those assets will be claimed by our protocol and converted back to USDC. As I mentioned, first rights goes towards the Metavault, and that'll free up liquidity for withdrawal. The next thing that can happen is the token can actually trade sideways for a long time. And if it does trade sideways, there's arbitrage opportunities happening from the fluctuations up and down. And the arbitrage yield that's generated is automatically going towards paying down the loan. So every borrower who opens a position has an auto repaying loan, which is really good for lenders because as borrowers are earning money in real time, they're paying off the liabilities of the pod, and lenders are getting freed up for liquidity. Another thing that can happen as well is the collateral asset, whatever the pod asset is. If that asset pumps, let's say Ohm or Barrio, as that asset is pumping in LP, the LP will rebalance and sell Barrio for more USDC. And when that happens, now lenders have USDC to withdraw. And also borrowers earn yield from the pump as well. So there's a lot of different ways that lenders are safe here, because as I mentioned, the token can pump, the token can dump, or it can just trade sideways and earn yield. And those loans are slowly being repaid through all of the volatility farming. So yeah, just something to keep in mind if anyone's kind of worried about the withdrawable assets and you're like, man, I see there's like 10,000 deposited, but only like $100 available for withdraw. And it's not something you have to worry about, because if you lend and you enter, you can actually sometimes, if you scroll down for me real quick, you can pick up a fixed discount to enter a pod with high utilization. So yeah, those are some examples at the bottom there. Utilization is actually kind of low, and so is the lending's really low. But there's also a fixed discount to enter. Sometimes you'll see it where a USDC pool is paying 80%, but there's also like a 2% fixed discount to enter the strategy. And that basically happens when the very last option, if you're at max utilization and you're like, man, I need liquidity today, I have emergencies that I need to pay for. The last thing you can do is actually convert your debt token. It's called FUSDC. You can convert that directly for P-Ohm or P-Barrio or P-Virtual, whatever the pairing asset is. And you can take that asset, unwrap it, claim it through the pod, and sell it to get your USDC essentially. You will take a haircut if you take an instant exit. But what you leave behind is a fixed discount for someone else who's like, yeah, I'm willing to wait whatever amount of time.